YouTube, what's happening, man? It's your boy Rowdy. Today we're getting right into it. We're reacting to The View, and we're going to see what they have to say about Trump's inauguration. Yes, Trump did it, and he's officially the 47th president. With The View, sometimes they have some interesting takes that I find very some can be appalling and some could be okay, acceptable. But today we're going to see what they have to say. I've never seen this video. I just know that they put it out and I'm very interested. I would actually love to see Whoopi's point of view as well, but we don't have that today because she's out. But anyway, we're going to lock in with the five ladies we have, five lovely, beautiful ladies that we have here from The View, and see what they have going on. You feel me? Without further ado, The View.
Well, in addition to Martin Luther King Day, a certain person, Donald Trump, was sworn back into the White House as the 47th president. Now, high-profile Democrats were in attendance along with Republican officials who all sat behind big tech oligarchs with the best seats in the House. Money. Yeah. Trump gave a preview of what we're in for the next 4 years. Take a look.
My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. We will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be.
So if you guys really see where he's coming from, it's gotten so out of hand that we were putting people who did not deserve the roles, who did not earn the roles. If we're making this a more merit-based society, that means you have to earn. Like anything else that was worth something, it's worth it. You have to earn it. And the problem is these people don't understand that. They feel like it should be more of an equitable, thing, but more often than not, things that are equitable don't always measure up. So just because I have something does not mean you should have it just because I have it, or just because we are in the same predicament. If I've worked for it, I should have it. Rich people aren't necessarily are all rich because their parents gave them money. They're rich because they've worked at it. If you look at people like Elon Musk, if you look at people like Vivek Ramaswamy, a lot of the people that work alongside with Trump, I mean, even outside of Trump, granted, he was given $1 million or something of that nature. So he was given a lump sum of money from his father. Yes, he took it and made it into, what it is now. Trump is he's the United States right now, but that's irrelevant to the point. The point is there are people who have earned their money. And that is what society should be, because it makes better outcomes. When we have better outcomes, our society will flourish. But if everybody is the same thing, y'all seen the movie Incredibles? If everybody's super, nobody is. Come on now. There's not a more powerful quote than that. And that means if everybody's able to get the same thing, no matter what, at some point we'll all have it. And then what separates us? What needs to separate us is because there are just people that's not going to make it. And there are people who deserve a chance because they worked their tail off to get to that point. Thus meaning merit-based.
So if he's sending all the criminals away, where is he going? And what better way to unify the country than by ripping families apart and punishing anyone who doesn't fall in line? So
I don't want to pause it too much, but as you guys know, this is a talking point of the left, and it's a problem. I'm not understanding why they feel like they can say they are destroying families and ripping them apart. Tom Homan himself said, if you want to go back to where the parents came from, the illegal parents, if your family member is illegal, if you want to go with them, you can go with them. If you have an issue with your family being separated, go back to where they came. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. If you're not a citizen, then you are an illegal alien. So because of being an illegal alien, you can't have certain rights. So because of that, you who aren't born here need to go. I don't understand what the problem is with that. I do feel like instead of getting rid of the birthright citizenship altogether, I feel like they should do it like some of the Western countries and make it so people get it when they turn 18. So if a child is born and the parents was illegal and they weren't, they weren't deported at this point, they turn 18, boom, you're a citizen, especially if you've taken the necessary classes and steps in order to become a citizen.
The speech itself, I remember when it was done, my first reaction was, what is this country he speaks of? Because I immediately couldn't reconcile the way I see the country and the people and how it is right now and where he saw it. I just kind of felt this dark feeling. And then he had this kind of martyr-like, you guys are downtrodden and almost irreparable. You can't save this place, but I can. And it had this godlike complex without any Jesus qualities. There wasn't one kind thing to say about the outgoing administration, because even
au contraire, he was merciless to the outgoing.
They did all the traditions of handing off the baton, and he couldn't even muster up one small thing to say thank you for kindly welcoming us back or something.
Saying that he was going to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The irony of it.
The irony of it, because Martin Luther King not only wanted racial equality, he wanted economic equality.
Again, I apologize. I apologize for all the pausing, but I do not want this to go unsaid, especially seeing how she brought up Dr. King. The ignorance is to think that he wanted society to be the way it is, especially seeing how his son even said that he would be very, very disappointed. I'm glad she said that. Martin Luther King Jr.'s son said that he would have an issue with the way the society is now, because you see all of these people that are postured up and they have these positions. You can sit there and whine and cry about people like Trump and these billion-dollar CEOs, but who are we posturing up as a black community? Rappers, strippers, and all of these other kind of people. We're not postering up people of merit, people who've worked their lives. No, they have people that are put as little puppets so that they can sell us and make us buy things and do things of that nature. But it has nothing to do with what it should. Dr. King was talking about the merit. The problem was when he was here in the 50s and 60s, back then, even before, back then, we would put so much effort into things. And because we were black, we did not we did not earn the correct merit, thus meaning our efforts were never reflected properly. So because of that, we were discriminated. That's discrimination. What he fought for was fairness, not for equity, equality, not equity. So what she's talking about is getting something just because you are there. No, getting something because you've worked your behind off to get it is what Dr. King worked for, what Malcolm X fought for, what all of these other people, Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition, all of these other kinds of people fought for the same thing. And that was the equal right and opportunity to have the chance, not to be given the outcome, to have the chance to be able to be on a level of their Caucasian and other, counterparts. So the fact of the matter is, it is very disingenuous there. And that's why I like this point, because now I can kind of see what people think instead of being in the echo chamber. If you understand where they are coming from, what they feel is Trump is trying to remove the diversity, equity, and inclusion, meaning he's trying to disallow black people or people that are minority to be into things because he wants white people to be able to be in those things instead. But if you think about it with, just with a clear mind. It's kind of reflected in the fires in LA. And you can kind of see the inept and the foolishness that's going on over there. And there's videos of people who are in the fire department in LA. And you can see that they aren't able to fight the fires because they don't have the people there that need to have. They are lacking in the resources. They're lacking in the personnel. The personnel that they have is not inept. They're not equipped. They're not talented enough. It's a lot that goes into more than just saying, oh, because you're gay, because you're black, you're transgender, oh, we'll bring you on. You can see that reflected in our army as well. There are different reflections in this society, which I feel like, and a lot of people would feel like, Dr. King would be very disappointed, and it would probably hurt him to his core to see what he had actually fought for if he would have lived to see it, if Malcolm X would have lived to see it. If we were to ask Jesse Jackson what he thought about what was going on, I'm sure he would be very disheartened. Not necessarily because he would probably be brainwashed the same way Al Sharpton was. Because if you think about Al Sharpton, I don't even need to get into him. Him and Louis Farrakhan the way they talk was crazy about people of the, I don't even need to get into that. But just getting to the point, it's a problem to think that they should be able to receive the same thing just because they're there. Trump wants to make it more merit-based, and that's what men want. What he's saying is more so advocating for men. That's why all of these women have an issue. This society has been driven towards women, and they still do not understand that. This is a women-based, this is almost a matriarchy, because women are postured up. Women are pedestalized. And it's okay to a certain extent, but not so much so that men do not feel appreciated. Men do not get anything. But the issue is they've gone through so many centuries and decades and centuries and all that of being abused. And a lot of that does fall down to who they're choosing. But again, that's a whole different subject, a whole different story, a whole different video. The point is, we're trying to make this, if they want equity in any way, men and women should be equal. So that's what this is starting to look at. There are some things that Trump is doing to kind of point that into the right direction, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. I don't see a problem with a lot of the stuff that he's deciding to do.
People that he said, quote, "It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it's cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps."
Yeah.
And so in thinking about that, and Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy, you're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire, a didn't earn it hire.
I was watching and thinking it's time to retire the phrase normalizing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is normalized, whether you like it or not. 75 million people voted for him. He is now as much a part of American history as George Bush, Barack Obama, and any other two-term president. And now he came back to D.C. like a conquering king. He had the biggest titans of industry there. He had celebrities. He had fashion designers. He had Democrats and every former president there. And I think that it's a moment to take note of why he won and the reasons that he did, but also Democrats are not a footnote in this. They had 4 years to beat him. They had the chance to make a case against him. 4 years ago, they had the White House, the House, the Senate, and Silicon Valley. Now they have none of those above. My posture is this. You guys know my criticisms of Donald Trump. They remain. I'm going to pray for the president. I'm going to thank him when he does things that are good, like the hostage deal. I commend him. I am grateful for that. And I'm going to call it out when he does things that are reckless and dangerous.
And when I was reading the speeches, I was coming back. First of all, I'm going to pray for America. I'm also going to say, he calls himself a peacemaker. So that brought back that he is a liar in chief. And he can't even stand in 20-degree weather. Has somebody explained to me?
Wait a minute. I do think we have to be careful to not take the bait with Trump and always we take things literally that he says, cover him honestly, but...
Oh, I can't stand. I appreciate Alyssa Farrah Griffith for her input because it's very moderate in its take and she's making a lot of sense. With Trump, she's completely correct. You cannot sit there and try to accept everything that he says because at some point everything's not going to get done. Every president has done that. Biden has said a lot of things that didn't get done, and he made, threats, or not threats, but just stated he was going to do certain things, and didn't happen. So with that, he could be trying to, use his right hand to hide what the left hand is doing, or, he could really be planning to do that. But just like she said, until he's gearing up to do it, we can't say that he's doing anything of that nature. So it would be unfair to him, and you would almost be lying yourself if he doesn't do it. To call him a liar is almost defamation. So that's a fine line that she's walking. I'm sure she can do that because it's Anna Navarro, but I don't know if anybody that's not on her status, that doesn't know Trump the way she knows Trump, that could sit there and bluntly call him a liar. As far as what Anna was trying to say, Trump actually does have people who are differing in ideals, and there are people like RFK, people like Tulsi Gabbard, and Elon Musk. Right now, him and Trump are butting heads about the H-1B visa. So there's differing thought processes across the board. Zuckerberg was left leaning, and Biden was almost controlling his narrative, Facebook, and all of that. So again, Zuckerberg's left leaning. If you look at all of the rich people, they're Democrats for the most part, but they understand if they continued trying to support Kamala and the left, that they would start to see certain things not work out for them. Economically, especially. Look at what she did. She had $2.5 billion and squandered it. What you think she gonna do with all these rich people? Rich people typically go where the winner is because they don't want to lose. They understood earlier on. It wasn't so much so that they didn't like Kamala per se, because they would have stayed on that side had they knew that she was going to win. It was lining up, and there was a lot of people that was supporting her and giving her money that they knew. They was like, this is obviously going to lose. So they took a chance and said, you know what? We're going for Trump. That's period. That's in the story. I don't think there's too much more corruption than anything that's been going on in politics. Everybody pays whoever they are trying to put forward. So that's nothing of a shock for me. But to sit there and try to point the finger at Trump and call him a liar, like I said, that's a slippery slope. And he is being checked and challenged. So to sit there and say that is a lie on your part.
There's no John Kelly. There's no General Mattis. There is nobody to push back on him when he calls and he says something absolutely insane. They've got both houses of Congress. They've got the Supreme Court in his pocket. And so if Democrats want to get some guardrail, get out of your funk, stand up, protest, call out the abuses of power, and get ready to at least retake one house of Congress in the next 2 years.
Anyway, all of these women up here have major status and, to my knowledge, have talked to Trump one time. So to have been able to talk to Trump and talk about Trump the way they are, there is an amount of status. And the fact of the matter is, he's not taking them seriously, to their credit, because he knows them. I feel like if he did not like them and he did not know them, with the stuff that they say about him, calling him a liar in chief, he would sue them. I'm not saying that's too far out of the stretch of the imagination, but considering that that's almost borderline defamation. Liar in chief is very disingenuous, considering what we just had to deal with for the last 4 years and for the last year or so with Kamala. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. I apologize for it being so long, but please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna bring you more content whether you like it or not. Anyway, peace.